tonight on First at 9 this Monday the 24th of February 2025. Plot thickens. Ganemulla Sanjeeva was produced before court on the day of his killing without a court order. Inquest reveals. No exceptions. Defence Secretary orders immediate arrest of all deserters from the armed forces. Parliamentary proceedings. No official statement from USAID on halting funds, reveals Minister. Opposition questions government on national security. Price hike. Electricity bill will have to be increased if dry weather prevails. Energy Minister warns.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama, Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwasi Dino Sensorain, then Lagamati Pharmacy in Labagata Hacker.
Kanta Parisan Karagatot? Api Parisan.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of First at 9, brought to you by Sri Lanka's premium news provider, Derana. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, as the inquiry into the murder of underworld leader Ganemulla Sanjeeva continues, it was revealed that the magistrate presiding over court number 5 at the Halfstop Court Complex had questioned prison officials as to why the prisoner had been produced before court without a court order moments before the killing. Meanwhile, additional images of the female suspect wanted in connection with Ganemulla Sanjeeva's murder have been made public as police seeks public assistance to locate the suspect. Meanwhile, in view of the increased involvement of armed forces deserters in organised crime, Secretary to the Minister of Defence, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta ordered the immediate arrest of all deserters from armed forces. The infamous drug trafficker and underworld figure Sanjeeva Kumara Samararatna alias Ganemulla Sanjeeva was gunned down on the 19th of February inside the Halfstop Court Complex. Up to date, 8 suspects have been nabbed over Ganemulla Sanjeeva's murder, with the suspect who allegedly acquired and provided the murder weapon also being among the arrested. Against this backdrop, the inquest into the murder of underworld figure Ganemulla Sanjeeva was conducted at the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court today. Police Constable Heva Patiranage Taranga, attached to the Keselwata police who was on duty at the courthouse on the day of the shooting, testified that court proceedings commenced at approximately 9:30 am and the cases of other inmates were taken up for hearing via Skype. The police constable said that Ganemulla Sanjeeva was brought into the courthouse at 9:40 am after the Skype connection had been interrupted. When the relevant case was taken up for hearing, the magistrate had asked the suspect Ganemulla Sanjeeva if he had placed a bond for the case. Ganemulla Sanjeeva had informed the court that he would not be placing a bond. Subsequently, the magistrate questioned the prison official as to why the suspect had been brought into court without a court order. The constable added that at that time, 3 to 4 gunshots were heard and a person dressed as an attorney was standing in front of the dock of the courtroom where Ganemulla Sanjeeva was present during the hearing of the case. The constable also stated that the judge was escorted to the chambers following the shooting. Subsequently, Priyantha Pushpakumara Samaranayaka, an attorney who was present at the courtroom at the time of the incident, also provided a statement related to the inquest. The attorney stated that he arrived at the premises at around 8:30 am and confirmed that a tall man entered the courtroom at the beginning of the proceedings with his face covered with a file. Samaranayaka clarified that he only saw his eyes and thought he was an officer affiliated with the Criminal Investigation Department or the Narcotics Control Unit. He further said that he witnessed the assailant opening fire at Ganemulla Sanjeeva and fleeing the scene after the incident. Police Constable Anura Vijayasiri, attached to the Paliagada Police Crime Division, also provided testimony today. Subsequently, the hearing of the case was adjourned until next Thursday, the 27th of February. In the meantime, the 25-year-old woman identified as Pinpura Devage Ishara Sewandi, who allegedly smuggled the firearm used for the shooting of Ganemulla Sanjeeva into the court premises, has not yet been located by the police. Sri Lanka police have released additional photographs of the female suspect and requested public assistance in apprehending the suspect in question. The public is requested to provide information regarding the suspect to the Director of the Colombo Crime Division via the telephone number 071 8591 727 and the officer in charge of the Colombo Crime Division via the number 071 859 1735. Additionally, the police announced that a cash reward will also be granted to any person providing information leading to the suspect's arrest. Against this backdrop, information was received yesterday that the suspect was in hiding in the Matugama area. Following this information, police security in the area has been heightened during both the day and night. Meanwhile, speaking to other Derana police media spokesperson, Senior Superintendent of Police Buddhika Manatunga revealed that the primary suspect of Ganemula Sanjeeva's murder was recruited through Facebook. In addition, a suspect allegedly responsible for aiding and abetting the recent shooting incident in the Kottahen area, which claimed the life of one person, was arrested by the Colombo North Divisional Crime Investigation Bureau yesterday. The arrestee was identified as a 28-year-old resident of Modara. Further investigations revealed that he has close ties with an organized criminal and a drug trafficker operating from abroad. In other similar news, the police constable who allegedly aided the attempted escape of notorious organized criminal Nadun Chintaka alias Harakkata from CID custody will be detained for 90 days for further questioning. The suspected constable was extradited to Sri Lanka from India on the 20th of this month. Against this backdrop, Secretary to the Ministry of Defence, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta has issued an order for the immediate arrest of all deserters from the armed forces. The Defence Secretary confirmed that the relevant decision was taken due to the increased involvement of deserters from the armed forces in organised criminal activities.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Don't waste time. Start your degree with pending A-level results this February with our partner universities. Call ACBT on 0117 699 499.
Less sugar, same great taste. From Melbourne.
Now let's take a look at thoughts shared by politicians regarding the effects of the fatal shooting of Ganemula Sanjeeva on Sri Lanka's national security.
This is not about criminal gang leaders killing each other. Innocent children caught in the crossfire have lost their lives. The public has to travel with doubt and fear. Criminals have gained confidence after this government came into power.
අපේ ආණ්ඩුව ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු කරන්න කළ යුතු සියලු දේ අපි කරනවා. ඒවට වගකිව යුතු අයට එරෙහිව අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙලා තියෙනවා. ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව ගැන කිසිම සැකයක් තියාගන්න එපා. මේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව කියලා බිල්ල මවලා මීට ඉස්සෙල්ලා වෙච්ච දේවල් අපිට අමතක වෙලා නැහැ.
කවුරුවරි ගණේමුල්ලේ සංජීවට ගම්පා උසාවියේදී වෙඩි තබන්න හිටියානම් ඒ අවස්ථාව.
After police managed to prevent Ganemula Sanjeeva from being murdered at the Gampa court complex, it was obvious that someone would target him in Colombo. The acting IGP who received this information allowed the murder of Ganemula Sanjeeva to happen. Therefore, the acting IGP must also be questioned. But who has the authority to question him? The Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security can do it. Therefore, this responsibility will fall to Ravi Seniratne, who neglected his duty when he received the intelligence about the Easter attack. This situation will be like the blind lead in the blind. Therefore, we would like to remind everyone that no action will be taken until Ravi Seniratne remains in his position.
පොලිස් ලෙඩේ නම් කවමදාවත් හොඳ කරගන්න ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැයි කියන එක අපි සිහිපත් කරනවා.
අපි ජනතාවට කියනවා මේ වෙලාවේ කල්ප.
We urge citizens to remain alert. There are ongoing investigations regarding large-scale fraud and corruption, and certain individuals are trying to change that situation. The Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security clearly stated during a special media briefing that those individuals are attempting to create chaotic incidents across the country for this reason.
අමාත්‍යංශ ලේකම්වරයා ඉතා පැහැදිලිව කියනවා.
Leader of the Sarvajana Bale, parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira, claims that the government has become abhorrent to the public and that the Sarvajana Bale is the only viable alternative available to Sri Lanka. Addressing the public in Kurunegala, Jayavira asserted that the people voted for the National People's Power with the expectation of an honest political culture, but instead have been disappointed by an opportunistic regime. Leader of the Sarvajana Bale, parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira, met a group of farmers and teachers of the Kurunegala district last evening. The event also saw the participation of the Sarvajana Bale's Kurunegala district electorate organisers.
Dilip Jayavira, during his time at the University of Colombo's Faculty of Law, stood against the political ideologies of the JVP and other such parties. He knew the internal situation of the party. We informed the people of this, but they did not believe us. People wanted to find it out for themselves and therefore voted for them. Now people are beginning to realize the truth. They attacked our culture and civility on social media for the past decade. They criticized the use of elephants in the Dalada procession and other such religious festivals. Buddhist monks affiliated with the political movement even contradicted the teachings of the Buddha. However, our culture and civility are so strong that even they had to assimilate into it. That is why the president, during his visit to Kandy, called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu and Askiri chapters and proposed a special exposition of the sacred truth relic. We admired.
What happened to the JVP? Those who harbour dishonesty perish from it as well. That cannot be avoided. That is a quality only 3% of people inherit at birth, not one that is familiar to ordinary people. This is not the case in our politics of affection, love and respect. The government has become abhorrent to the people. Therefore, the people must be given an alternative to the national people's power, and that is the Sarvajana Balaya, which comprises the authenticity you were searching for. You were in search of honest politicians who do not steal, but found a group of liars and opportunists. The Sarvajana Balaya is needed to rectify this situation. We will fearlessly engage in down-to-earth politics and take Sarvajana Balaya towards victory. Therefore, prepare yourselves to witness a positive and brave political culture.
Fast track your career from O levels with eSoft.
ඩයිබටසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Malibu chocolate cream, inguru and lemon puff. Less sugar, same great taste. From Malibu.
Responsibility to look after our health.
The best nutritional supplement for diabetic patients with no added sugar. Maliban Vitagen. Stay healthy for a good reason.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa and opposition legislators questioned the government's actions to ensure the national security of the country following the recent increase in murders on the island. Additionally, while debating the 2025 budget for the 7th day, the opposition also questioned the government's efforts to reduce recurring expenditure for this year.
Despite the executive order issued by the USA President, USAID has not officially informed the government in writing regarding the funds provided to Sri Lanka. We would like to emphasize that according to the agreement with the USAID, when receiving funds, it is stipulated that any suspension in funding must be communicated in writing.
Until this country's economy collapsed, the IMF was not considered a necessary entity. However, after the economic crisis, in order to recover quickly, we had to seek assistance from the IMF. That said, I would like to clarify this does not mean that we are obligated to follow all of their directives. I would like to quote President Anura Dissanayaka's statement from February 7th. That is indeed the correct path. The UNP has advocated this in the past, continues to do so at present and will in the future. However, we do not have to comply with everything the IMF dictates. In 2024, recurrent expenditure was 2.604 trillion rupees. In 2025, it is projected to be 2.97 trillion. Previously, concerns were raised about high expenditure. What I am pointing out is that the expenditure has increased by 310 billion rupees. When 110 billion was allocated for salary increments, where did the savings from vehicle expenses go?
If this were a budget prepared by Ranil Wickremesinghe or the IMF, they would not have been able to introduce a salary structure that strengthens and protects state sector employees. As Minister of Finance, the President reduced these taxes without discussing with the IMF. Between February 18th and 22nd, 8 murders occurred. The President has stated that this does not pose a threat to national security. However, the ongoing conflict between these underworld gangs is indeed a serious threat to national security. On the afternoon of the killing in the court premises, a color photograph of the women who aided in the attack was provided to security authorities as part of an intelligence report. We were informed that the initial plan was to carry out the attack in Gampa, which raises significant concerns.
Even the President has acknowledged the seriousness of this matter, assuring that we will not allow this situation to escalate and threaten national security. Necessary measures are already being implemented. We are closely monitoring the situation under the President's leadership with relevant ministers actively involved.
One of our MPs revealed that prior intelligence was received about this incident. The acting IGP confirmed that reports indicated an attack was planned in Gampaha, but there was no mention of Colombo at that time. We have seen similar delays in response, such as during the Easter Sunday attacks, where action was not taken despite intelligence warning. There is a fundamental issue with analyzing and acting upon intelligence data.
The President has made multiple statements assuring that this situation does not pose a national security threat. We are committed to providing maximum security to the public and safeguarding national security. Investigations are ongoing and it is unnecessary to disrupt them by revealing all details in Parliament. As you are aware, military and police personnel suspected of involvement have been arrested and are being interrogated. Additionally, individuals connected to the judiciary are also being questioned. Therefore, have confidence in the investigation. I assure you that all related individuals are being apprehended and the inquiry is progressing.
The individuals most closely connected to underworld gangs are prison officers. Currently, police and prison officers receive different salary rates, whereas their salaries used to be the same. Now police officers earn more. This difference must be addressed. Salary levels should be brought to parity. Stop shifting the blame onto previous governments and ministers for every issue. It was you who brought the Rajapaksas to power. It was you who supported former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's election. We neither voted nor supported him. We have been critical of him from the beginning. Minister of Power and Energy Kumar Jaikodi warns that electricity prices will have to be increased if the current dry weather prevails. The minister made this statement while addressing an engineers' convention of the National People's Power in Matale. The electricity bill was reduced by 20%. If the dry weather prevails, we might have to increase it again. There is no profit or savings here, just the cost. In order for the CEB to operate, we might have to make such price revisions. We do not like to do that. They always say that the Ceylon Electricity Board earns some 140 billion rupees in profit. That is a lie. There is no profit. A balance remains when we change prices every quarter or every 6 months. The balance of the first 6 months is carried over to the next 6 months. That balance will be spent and then the CEB will forecast prices. What CEB does is forecast the prices. When we spend that balance during the next 6 months, there is no profit left at the end of the year. About 140 billion rupees remained at the end of the previous year. It was then spent to cover the expenses of this year. Now only 46 billion rupees remain. After we expend that 46 billion rupees, we will be left with a loss of at least 42 billion rupees at the end of the next 6 months. The loss will surge if the dry weather prevails. The Supreme Court has fixed for hearing the 9 fundamental rights petitions challenging the appointment of Deshabandhu Tennakoon as the Inspector General of Police. The petitions seek a ruling declaring that the manner in which Tennakoon, who previously served as the senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, was appointed as the IGP is unconstitutional. A 5-member Supreme Court judge bench fixed the hearing of the relevant petitions for the 6th, 7th and 8th of May this year. The Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka revealed that it has received a significant number of complaints against police officers regarding allegations of torture, arbitrary arrest and detention, harassment and inaction with respect to complaints. The Human Rights Commission raised these concerns during a recent dialogue to discuss critical human rights concerns related to Sri Lanka police.
The HRCSL expressed concern over the increasing number of complaints received against police officers regarding allegations of torture, arbitrary arrest and detention, harassment and inaction with respect to complaints. The Commission acknowledged that efforts are being made to address these issues under the new police administration. The police meanwhile underscored their target to significantly reduce rights violations within the next year. Specific attention was drawn to the role of the Special Investigation Unit of the Sri Lanka Police, particularly in terms of investigating law enforcement officers allegedly involved in torture and enforced disappearance. The HRCSL raised concern with respect to the low level of prosecution and convictions in this regard. The Commission also raised concern with respect to the rights of human rights defenders to engage in the advocacy of human rights, including the right to stage peaceful protests against government policies. The HRCSL also raised concerns regarding the lack of representation of female police officers and the presence of Tamil-speaking officers in specific regions, and Sri Lanka Police noted that it will be addressed in upcoming recruitment efforts. The Human Rights Commission stressed the need for better training for officers, especially those who handle women, children, online gender-based violence and LGBTQI-related cases. Acting Inspector General of Police Priyantha Veerasurya noted that Sri Lanka Police has initiated proceedings under the Torture Act of 1994 in response to allegations of torture and agreed to issue advisory notes on protecting human rights defenders, preventing custodial deaths and ensuring transgender rights. The acting IGP also agreed to raise awareness among officials about HRCSL Act provisions protecting Commission officials from legal action. Fishermen in Rameshwaram, India launched an indefinite strike today demanding the immediate release of the 32 Indian fishermen arrested by the Sri Lanka Navy yesterday for allegedly crossing the international maritime boundary line and illegally fishing in Sri Lankan waters. The crew of 700 mechanized deep-sea trawlers has stopped operations as they urged the Indian government to take swift action against the repeated arrests and ensure the safety of Tamil Nadu fishermen. According to the Hindustan Times, Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, has spoken to External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and requested him to convene the India-Sri Lanka Joint Working Group on Fisheries for the release of the fishermen and their boats. And with that, here's a look at local news across the island in brief. A 73-year-old Indian national was arrested by the Police Narcotics Bureau at the Bandaranaike International Airport this morning while attempting to smuggle a consignment of Kush cannabis valued at 23 million rupees into the country. Meanwhile, over 400 kilograms of Kerala cannabis that was being transported in a specially designed compartment within the body of a lorry was seized during a raid conducted by the Kilinochchi police in Paranthan last night, based on a tip-off from Sri Lanka Army Intelligence. In the meantime, police reported that a Chinese national was found dead at a luxury hotel in Kompanavidya, Colombo. Bloodstains have been observed at the scene and police will conduct further investigations into the incident. In other local news, a truck transporting sand from Mahiyanganaya to Talavakale veered into a hill on the side of the road and toppled over due to a sudden technical fault this morning in the Nanua area on the Talavakale-Nuwara main road. No injuries were reported during the accident and police advised motorists to exercise caution when travelling through the area as the large amount of sand spilt on the road has made it slippery. Welcome back. In your stock update, the Colombo Bourse began the week in negative territory today. The broader all share price index closed 1.29% lower at 16,671.73 points, while the S&P SL20 fell by 1.26% to close at 4,999.57 points. Market turnover crossed 2.1 billion rupees. Furthermore, foreign investors closed as net sellers, offloading shares worth 283 million rupees. Senior analyst of Capital Alliance, Sahajit Nazar, joins us now with a few thoughts to round off our Markets in View segment for the week.
The domestic stock market showed mixed signals throughout the previous week. The S&P SL20 rose by 0.6% from 5,035 points to 5,063 points, while the ASPI dropped by 0.3% from 16,936 points to 16,889 points. In addition to the index performance, market turnover rallied by 62% to 21.02 billion rupees from 12.9 billion rupees, owing mostly to contributions from the banking and capital goods sector. Furthermore, the government raised 155 billion rupees last week through treasury bill auctions, where interest rates reduced on 3, 6 and 12-month bills by 8, 4 and 6 basis points respectively.
And that's all for tonight on First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.